There are two people in your life. One says, I will never betray you no matter what. The other says, I will try my best, but I will also weigh my options. Which one are you trusting?
Now imagine this, $20 million to never have sex again. Are you saying no?
And here's the final kicker. Why does society call one person a junkie and the other an extreme sports enthusiast? Yo, what's good, people? You're locked into Think Talk, the show that's all about lies, uncomfortable truths. I'm Malik.
And I'm Ibra. If you're new here, welcome. And if you've been rocking with us, you know what time it is. We are challenging everything you think, you believe about loyalty, sex, and danger.
Each of these topics will touch a nerve, for sure. And we want that. We want it to touch a nerve. So buckle up and jump in the comment section because we're going all in. You're about to go into battle, Ibra. Life and death. You get to choose who has your back. Do you go with the one who promises to never betray you ever, or the one who says, I'll try, but I won't lie. If the stakes are high enough, I will think about it.
That's an interesting one. For sure, I'll take the one who swears loyalty as long as they are not swearing on their ex's life or their Netflix password, right? Because that doesn't mean anything. Because for me, the intention has to be there that, you know what, I'm going to commit to this, and I think that changes everything. Rather than, you know what, maybe not, if the circumstances or the situation is right, I might or might not. I think that's already nothing to me, to be honest. What about you?
Wow, that response is very interesting. Honestly, I would rather be the loyal friend, but I would never demand that from anyone else. Personally, I think expecting blind loyalty is a selfish fantasy, because it ignores people's lives, the families, the fears that they have, the privileges. It allows one person to be able to say, it doesn't matter what incentive is on the table. It doesn't matter the position you put me in. I'm able to always be loyal. And I also think it's quite unrealistic. If you want someone to never betray you, I think it's not a question of loyalty. I think you're asking for a god. What we can hope for, from my perspective, is I hope that my friends are never in a situation to have to choose between myself and something that is also equally or even more important to them. That's what I would hope for. And I have to put that in my head, because I think when everyone is put in a tight spot, a lot of other things start to impact what decision they take. And as I said, personally, I want to be the guy that's able to say, it doesn't matter what it is, I for sure will not betray you. Doesn't matter. That's what I want to be.
We're talking about going into war, right? I feel like, you're very right. In reality, right? In normal day to day, it's not even a realistic expectation. But I would argue that if you are going to war, that scenario is already different. The moment the general is looking at people below him, for example, and saying when it comes down to it, they could flip on him, then you're already defeated, don't you think? So I think in a war scenario, there has to be this till death do us part sort of. That's difficult, but in a war situation, I think that's.
I understand what you mean. However, I think this is also one of the reasons that they say if you get captured, rather than allow yourself to be interrogated, better to probably commit suicide. And the reason is because if you allow yourself to be interrogated, you put yourself in a situation where they can play around with the incentives for you. And personally, I just believe that it's a very tough thing to have, that for sure you can account for all the scenarios that the incentives can come in and make sure that this person stays loyal. I'll give an example. Maybe the example is not tying to the scenario of war, right? But I want to use it because it's just an example of how a scenario can get complicated. That this loyalty out of, regardless of the situation, this blind loyalty is a bit questionable. Should a friend let their daughter get offed to protect me because one thing or the other, right? That's one example. That kind of scenario, it starts getting a bit tricky. But then in the scenario of the war as well, rather than have a general expect that it doesn't matter what you put my soldiers through, They will always be loyal. That's also tough to expect. And how they deal with it is that there's different levels of privilege within the military. The lower guys, they don't have as much to lose as the top guys in the sense of personal loss. Of course, they might lose the war, they might lose their country, but they feel differently about it because of the status that they are in. For one of these reasons, at least, the top guys will have access to information that the lower guys does not have access to. So even in a war, the general is expecting that the only thing they can plan around is that when push comes to shove for our people, they will be betrayed. Even on the levels of the other generals, they still won't have everyone have all the information. That's the only way to secure it. Because when push really comes to shove, it's tough and you really can't even blame them. But on top of it, they now add the rule of you have sensitive information, you get captured, let yourself go. Don't put yourself in the situation where they get the opportunity to present an incentive to you. Because if they do, it gets tricky. And this is the reality that we need to know, from my perspective at least, so that that's what we build strategies around, not the other one.
So does it mean something different to you? I'm trying to phrase the question rightly. If someone is like solid and with intention saying, yes, for sure, you have my loyalty. Or it means more to you when the person says, you know what, it's actually not realistic anyway, so you know what it is. Hopefully that moment won't come or something like that.
I think with the example that you just gave now, if the person frames it the exact way you framed the second one, I prefer the first one. But I think there's a way to frame the second one in a way that works. Let's use the example of religious people. You will see back then, people would pray not for anything but for God not to put them to a test that makes them leave God. Have you not heard this prayer point before?
I've heard it, yeah.
And this is the framing that probably makes it a little bit better to understand. I think if someone tells me you've got my blind loyalty, I will still prepare strategy for what if. Because you can't really know the intention, you can't really trust, you can't really be that. If I would do my strategy in any case with the mindset of they might be put in a tough situation and I want to protect them. I've actually seen movies where the benevolent general, the super smart general, what he actually tells his people is not to kill themselves when they get captured. It's if you get captured, don't worry, say it. Yeah? Give them the information if it saves your life. When he does that, those people as well in return, they fully understand that I'm trusting my general to manage the information flow such that the information that I give out does not wipe out the entire army. The general is taking on that responsibility in that instance. I'm saying, don't worry, keep the information you have. I will create 3-4 different alternatives should in case you are the one that gets captured. The information will reach the base, we will know that you have gotten captured, and we know that the whole strategy that you know about is not what we do. Animes get crazy in that sense, you know. I think Kingdom had this kind of situation where they intentionally planted some movement, shared information in ways that, once you know that that's the area that has been captured, you do something completely different. But what's beautiful about it is that they trusted their generals so much, and they also had that freedom of sharing the information to save their life, if it will save their life, out of trust for their general, knowing that he has planned accordingly for what humans will generally do.
I think that's actually true. I think for sure, even companies these days do that, right? So like the lower you are in the company, the lower the information you can use should you leave like the company to a competitors you know what I mean? Did you read the news about this Traore guy? About how some Western... So in that kind of situation, because I brought this up because you were talking about managing information, and I was thinking there is a level where there is no managing what they know in order to be able to hurt or not to hurt you. So what do you then see in that scenario, for example, when you have to be completely 100% know what is going on, have full information, if you are at that table and you have a strong possibility to be able to use this information against the leader, for example.
So that's the thing. And that's why I said the framing of the second one is what matters. The second person is not saying I will betray you for sure. The second person is saying honestly, I would try my best, right? However, may God not put us to the test that puts me in a situation where the incentive outweighs the other one. And this is the thing. Traore is only surviving some of the things that's going on with him because of the sort of incentive that the people that are around him has. They might think it's blind loyalty. I think what's happening is that the people that are trying to get to Traore, they're still looking at it from a very simplistic perspective. They're all offering money. But Traore has put those guys in a position where they're privileged enough to reject any amount of money because their target is different. If there's an incentive that matches the target and gets Traore out of the way, someone might fall. And this is usually what they do when they want people to fall. You want to find the one that might want to be king himself as well, as an example. Or you might want to find the one that loves the nation more than Traore and sell the story to him that Traore is hurting the nation. And this is what I'm always bringing up, that it's an incentives question, not that they just, and if you play it in different scenario, if someone can read your mind, they might always find that key. And everyone has, I would say, a price, but it doesn't have to be monetary.
I mean, it doesn't even have to go that far, right? Yeah, I'm thinking a situation where they don't even have anything as leverage on anyone they want to go against him. They could just kidnap any of their relatives and you don't get
and
your
then
daughter
they start to threaten them.
Yeah,
and this point that you make now brings me to the next point of Traore will have to take care of the closest people to him just as much as it takes care of himself.
Maybe even
their
more.
Relative have to get the same, exactly. They need to get similar protection as he gets. Because that's how he reduces the risk. Because guess what? If they get a hold of those people, there's problem. No matter the blind loyalty that has been promised, there is problem. And that's how they do it. Even brothers will get into problems, like people that share blood. Twin brothers, they share the womb together. They will get into problem if the incentive is just right. At least that's my perspective. Again, the second person has to frame it right. If they frame it in such a lackadaisical way that I have a feeling that the incentive does not have to be that strong, they will just betray me anyways, I probably don't want them in my corner. But if they frame it right, that in all honesty, I will do my best to be the most loyal person around you. I will give you my loyalty. But when the incentives are tough, it doesn't have to be money.
When you still go back to that, then I find it problematic because in a realistic situation, I think anyone in a leadership position or in a vulnerable position that, hearing that, I think it doesn't make it, at least from my perspective, it doesn't make it.
That's what you think. I think it also depends on the type of leader. If it's a very strategic leader, what it will be questioning is what matters to you so we can protect that. I need you. I need your loyalty. You matter to me. And you are absolutely right. So what do we need to protect? Yeah. And I'll give you an example. I've actually experienced something like this myself. When I was joining the bank in Nigeria, I was in the interview stuff, and they were asking me questions about what I want to do next. Why am I even interested in the bank? I have studied agriculture. I'm going to the bank. And I went on about all this story on I want to learn about finance and agricultural projects. I'm interested in the bank's agricultural business and doing this. And the interviewer, this man was very funny. He was pushing me. It's like, what if you get it? What if you get all the knowledge you require to then go into your agricultural thing? Will you leave us? Because they want to know, are you going to stay with us long term? Because we're about to train you, very expensive training. Are you going to stay with us long term? So they asked the question, what if I get all the knowledge I needed? I'm like, yeah, but I will still need money. So I will still have to work for a bit to get the money, get promoted. Actually give a lot to the bank to repay back the cost of training, at least. And the man said, no. Abdul Malik, what if you get the money, you get the training, the knowledge, the network, everything, you get it in less than a year? Are you still staying? Do you know what I said? I said, if you put it like that, then I'm for sure going to leave. It's like, that's what I'm talking about. I still got the job because I had a target. And they can be realistic enough that I won't get everything to leave in a year. But I'm being honest with them. And they gave me the job. That's a strategic thinker. Because somehow what you need in a company is not someone that tells you that I will leave all my own dreams to help you achieve yours as the owner of the company. It's someone that says, at this moment in time, what you're trying to achieve is aligning with what I'm trying to achieve for myself, so we can work together. That's what I think you need. But that conversation will never happen when you don't have someone honest enough to say, look, I'm brother for life.
I think that would do a lot in our culture, actually.
James and Fuad, they play different, they do all this scenario stuff. And I remember one scenario where Fuad was asking James, like, oh, if I'm running and I fell, and let's say the Baba Yaga is about to catch me, are you leaving or are you? And James was like, I will look back. If I'm like, this guy is about to get killed, there's nothing I can do. Guy, I'm gone. It's like, bro, I'm gone. And fair. I get it. You can make a joke about it and be like, bro, I'm your brother for life. Even when they betray you, I will still be your brother. No allow them to catch me.
Exactly.
If they catch me, you're dead. You can still play it like that. And then it's just a question of, okay, what do we need? That's loyalty. Now the next one is sex. Ibra, look at this scenario. You're 30 years old. Someone offers you $10 million. One condition: never have sex again. Are you taking it?
Absolutely not, man. I mean, what's the point of life without good quality sex, bro? Bro, 3 things are very, very, like, at least those are my 3 pillars of life.
I'm sorry. 3 pillars of Islam. I mean, like, sorry.
Life. No, it's not.
I know 5 pillars of Islam. I was just like joking here.
So for me, good sex, for sure, good food, and good quality sleep. Those 3 things, if you have in your life, I think you keep going.
Absolutely,
keep going.
Man.
I mean, there are other things to make life beautiful, but if you remove these 3 core things, right, I don't think there's any point.
No, bro. Wow, for me, I'm with you. Sex is not optional for me. It's like oxygen. And I'm not holding my breath for a payout. I want my fuel. It keeps me functioning. It's not a luxury, It is what it is.
91-year-old Gianfranco from Cortona is going to tell us his secrets to longevity.
Mangiare bene e scopare molto.
Perfetto.
Perché scopando parecchio le cellule sono più veloci.
Bravissimo.
And I fully agree with you. Food, we said food, sex, and good sleep, right? So good sleep is also coupled with shelter.
Because at the end of the day, right, the best things in life I've felt, right? Okay, you get the money. The money in itself doesn't mean nothing. Anything that gives the money any sort of value is being felt. You have to feel it.
Yep.
Sex is an experience that you feel. Food is an experience that you feel. Bro, I was telling you about a sleep that I just woke up from. Like, that was 2 nights ago, or 3, that I felt like that was good. So money in itself, if you want to buy a Gucci bag from it or like whatever, is the feeling you get from getting the Gucci bag that makes it worth something.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, I was thinking about it a lot, and I'm going to say something super wild when I say this. So I was having this conversation with one of my brothers as well, and it's like, oh, but they're monks and Catholic priests. I'm like, bro, Catholic priests. They gave up sex in the way we know it to be smashing young boys. Bro, smashing young boys.
Yeah.
I don't want to offend anyone, but honestly, let me just keep it to my own perspective. I'm 100% with you. We can make money any other way. You're not taking away my fuel of life, the beat of life, my heartbeat. I mean, people don't know how they misbehave when they are not sexually active. They talk about this celibacy thing, and I'm not trying to promote unreasonable sex, senseless sex. Of course, you can do without sex for quite a while and stuff, but it's not for life. Yeah, it's so important that Muslims will marry at age 19, age 17, just to already start smashing. on the basis of I don't want to smash outside marriage.
Yeah.
It's so important that it's the one single gift that all religion, I mean, Abrahamic religion are saying, keep and wrap it clean because that's the best wedding gift you will get. That's how important it is. It's so important that knowledge is one of the things that was a prime condition in the Garden of Eden. That's sex.
Yeah.
And we want to trivialize it. We think it's so fun. We literally have to procreate through it. You become cold and nothing. All right. Think about the guys that when you watch Game of Thrones, right? I forgot the name of these guys. Those guys that they already cut off their they can't have sex. Castrated guys. It's almost as if they're saying you cannot be a part of society anymore. You will now have to be this crazy machine that has no feelings. You just have anger and ability to fight and be destructive. You stop being the human being that you need to be. That's how much I put thought into it. Now you can try to make the argument some people can do without it. Some people are actually asexual. That's fine. If you are asexual, then at least all the urges that drives you to function by being sexual is not there, right? Your brain is already wired differently. But I think asexual people, they're probably a bit weird to connect with. So I'm sorry. I don't know.
It's not even.
Yeah, I'm sorry, bro.
I wouldn't be able to explain from their perspective, right? But for sure, I mean, science has proven this, also, right? Sexual activity is not just something for pleasure, like you mentioned, right? It has shown to improve mental, physical health, and reducing stress for sure, improving sleep quality and all these things, right? So just even removing the fun part of it, it's like breathing. It's like when we remove all these rat race that we are, the core thing in us, a core fundamental part is to reproduce, to give, to have offsprings, right? To have kids and also, and you mentioned something about the monks and all, they have to give up, which is a key word. They give it up. So it's not something that is natural, to not want to do. So it's something.
That's a very strong argument, actually. Yeah. You let go of it to stop being a typical human, right? The monks are supposed to be more connected to this higher thing, right? But that's not being human, right? That you elevate your entity by giving up what makes you human.
I think they just rechannel because everything is energy, right? They find a way to sort of rechannel it, but it's not an easy task. That's why being a monk is not something for the weak mind. It's a very strong mental game. That urge is definitely there, but I think they find a way to rechannel that into something else. But for sure, just by being, you can't get over that urge when it comes for you.
For the weakness that we have, for the strength that we have, I like being human. And if sex is supposed to be a weakness, I don't think it is, because I think it really allows us to connect differently. It's a sacred thing in itself as well, if you see it that way. I think the connection that comes from sexual pleasure in different ways, the tension, bro, that spark. The tension, the feel. If you are hitting it off with someone, you are not having sex. You are communicating that it's about to happen or that it could happen. Do you know how alive your neurons, everything is firing in those moments? And this is something that you want to completely cut off.
There's a life force. That feeling, aside the feeling good of it, is a life force, right? Because it's a feeling of, I'm about to make another being into this world, right? So it's like the intimacy about it, the strong emotional feeling that comes with it. And it's like, it's just biology, right? I think the nature has found a way to make us, because if it doesn't feel that good, maybe we would have been wiped off the planet, right? Because we probably won't want to reproduce. But it has to come with this sort of want or wanting, the need for it. It's like, I
mean, even just sticking to the scenario, $10 million is for sure not enough. But Ibra, I'll ask you, $2 billion. You're 30, $2 billion, no sex.
What do I do with the money, bro? It sounds so tempting, to be like, oh, it's a lot of, but I'm just, I'm being real with you.
Look at how sex. No, I'm with you, man. I mean, I'm actually with you. Didi has all the money he needs in this world. Elon Musk, father. All these people have all the money they need in this world.
Is reproducing like a dog.
Apart from reproducing like a crazy person, I also think the wildest part of those people that have unimaginable amount of money into this world, right? The moment where they feel like life is so boring, they need the next step of experiencing humanity. All they do is tweak sexual engagements. Let's chain ourselves up. Let's do shibari. Let's fly on an island.
BDSM.
Yeah, let's create something out of it, but it's all still sexual.
I think we can lie to each other and be like, oh yeah, if I get like 2 billion now, for sure but that's not true. At least if for any sexual human being, it's not true. Because I'm thinking maybe someone watching this and be like, oh, is that the only thing you can do with money? Well, you can do a lot of things with money, but 3 years of not having sex will mess you up.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Yeah, I think there's that.
As an adult, at least.
Yeah.
At least. Because it's a different thing if you haven't had it. Maybe it's
Experienced
easier
it,
for the
you're not-
monks then. Exactly.
Yeah.
You can actually go through it
because
if you
start
never
from-
have it.
Yeah. True. That's true. That's actually another angle. I mean, I'm curious, yeah. Let's know in the comment section, what's your price if you have one that can actually make you stop? No judgment. I think this is solely from our perspective. And if you say there's nothing that makes you, like, if you're on the same page as us, your reasoning behind that and examples that you have, I would really like to see that in the comment section as well. Because you're absolutely right, and I'm with you.
Yeah.
Maybe some people can do it. This angle that you actually just introduced to it, you have said two things that I'm like, One is this idea of what if you never had it and you just grew up as a monk and went into...
Yeah.
And the second thing is that some people might have had trauma that some completely made them asexual, destabilized their, And lastly, you now mentioned as well that even if you have had it, is it possible to channel all that emotions, all that feeling, all the connection? Is it possible to channel it to connecting with something else? Maybe the kind of experience you have with a spiritual being, if you are super spiritual like a monk, is almost sexual in its feeling.
Exactly. Is it like I said, you are rechanneling the energy, and I think it's quite possible. But the energy, you are just changing it from one form to the other, but it's definitely there. But I don't want to channel nothing.
I'm not channeling.
I'm not avatar.
I mean, I love women. I'm straight, heterosexual, and I know the value of having good women in this world. Yeah, I know the value. And it's not just for sex, the connection, the sexual tension, everything together.
Intimacy.
It's a full package. Now, to the last scenario for today. Ibra, let me paint this scenario. One guy, dies from jumping from a rooftop. We call it tragic, but it is inspiring. Another dies from an overdose. We call it stupid and sad. Why? What is the difference between these two deaths? Is it branding? Is it that one is actually chasing a purpose and the other is trying to escape? Or maybe they are just both chasing the eye. One adrenaline, the other one something else. It's just with a different outfit. What do you think is going on?
That's a very interesting question. I believe they can be different, depending only on if someone or anyone involved, like for example in the extreme sport, has control over it. I think for me, that is the only difference that I feel like can differentiate these two things. But aside that, I think these are just two people who need help. Or who need help.
Yeah.
Because they're both dangerous, they're both life ruining, and they shouldn't be seen differently, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. From my perspective, they are both selfish and they both break hearts. The only difference is packaging, from my perspective. However, there's one other last caveat that I put on it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because the reason I put it that simply is because it doesn't matter if it's heroin or a wingsuit. You're gambling your life while the people that actually care about you are praying for you to survive. It's the same from the risk perspective. You're talking about the perspective of control. And I might even argue that the person that is really, really into some of these dangerous things, like skydiving, they sort of lose control without knowing it. Because why are you skydiving 20,000 times in your lifetime. What are you picking up there? Isn't it the same? What are you picking up there? You jump on a jet. You go again. Some people are doing 10, 15, 20 times a day. What are you getting up there? So for me, I think they even lose control without knowing it. It looks like they might be in control because, of course, they follow all the rules and blah, blah, blah to actually get it done. But it could be, what if I follow all the rules? I'm taking substances the way some celebrities do. They get IVs, they get doctors around, and they get their eye, flush it out of their system. Is that good? Or is it still? So I think where the difference is coming is, even with the loss of control, when you don't get your adrenaline rush, the way it reflects on you is different from when you don't get the substance that you're addicted to. When you don't get the substance you're addicted to, you lie, you gamble, you steal. By all means, you need to get it. It's chemical. It's a chemical reaction. You're probably aggressive when you take too much alcohol. You're fighting. You know? But when you don't get the other one, you're probably just dull. You're probably not the happiest. Maybe a little bit depressed.
No, I disagree actually.
Oh, okay.
I
Interesting.
disagree. I think they are actually the same. Because when I was arguing for the control, I was thinking someone who is just into extreme sport, but not an extremist, if that makes sense. But now, from what you've painted, right, we are talking about two extreme cases of being like someone is addicted to drugs, for example, and someone is addicted to skydiving, like, or something as extreme. I would argue that there is a change in the brain when you get involved so much in a dangerous or extreme activity that if you don't have it, people around you feel it for sure. You would get it from somewhere else. Like, you get irritable so fast. It might be different, but they would let it out in some other places, and people around them would also definitely feel it. Because I think what people like that are craving or are trying to achieve somehow is probably emotional regulation, also an outlet to let things out. Someone who can't get into like his skydiving or like bungee, no, I don't think bungee jumping, but like something of that nature, his or her partner will probably feel the heat. Then you're at home, all of a sudden something, you're looking for the remote, then you're yelling. You don't even know it, but I strongly believe you would also let it out. But maybe not as extreme as you are, like as it would be for someone addicted to heroin or something and can't get it.
Yeah.
But there will be a behavioral change for sure.
I've had the conversation with one of my friends as well in the building, actually. I met him and we're talking about some different type of very extreme ones. Like, I know someone that is about to go across the Atlantic Ocean in a very small boat. I know someone that actually, a rowboat, a paddle boat, and they want to go across the Atlantic Ocean.
Have you seen the guy's TikTok that is trying to travel, I think, the world in one very small boat? He's been doing it. I think he's on his 100 and something days.
A lot of people are doing it. There was a doctor that also did it 3 times. There was a doctor that did it 3 times, and in one of the, or 7 times, in one, he wrote a book about it. So it's a common thing. That's why I'm like, why? Like, when you're doing it, are you forgetting that you have friends and families? Why can't you go across the Atlantic in a big yacht or in a big boat? There are ferries there, and there
a ship.
There are cruise ships, there are ships, there are all these things. You will see the beauty of the ocean anyways. Why do you want to paddle on the Atlantic Ocean? Why do you want to row a boat on the Atlantic Ocean? And you want to do it not just to go like this and come back to land. You're actually doing it that you get into the middle where you cannot go back, and it might be difficult to go forward. I heard stories, like my friend was telling me about in the book, where there's a big wind, blah, 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 the boat capsizes, you lose all your food and everything. This man lost all his food. And while all this is happening, he has to somehow manage to keep course west. Otherwise, it just, boom. And months, he just is there.
Yeah.
He said one of those trips, he landed, it was like, he's losing 40 kilograms on one trip. And you have family, you have friends that care about you. And in my head, I'm thinking, so what is the difference between you and the guy that shoots up heroin or crack or whatever? What's the difference? The same pain to the people around you. They're scared. And I'm thinking risk does not become righteous just because it has a helmet and a GoPro. It's still the same. People are worried. I'm not in support of it, to be honest. I was interested in doing skydiving because, of course, I think it's very important to mention that it's not exactly the same amount of risk when you look at the amount of deaths from overdose and the amount of deaths from some of these other activities, right? Injuries might be high, blah, 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 but the deaths when it happens, super extreme, and the risk is always there every single time. And they're now taking it into more and more extreme stuff because it's no longer fun to simply do it in the simple way. So now you have people in wingsuits jumping from mountains, but not doing it in the safe way to move away from the mountain as much as possible when they're floating, but to see how close they can get to the mountain cliffs and the edges. And one small wind, it smashes you into the mountain, turns you into yogurt. But they still do it anyways. Let's see how close we can get. Now they're even riding themselves up in the sky. You get someone with a wingsuit, you are about to skydive, so you have a parachute. So the wingsuit guy, you actually ride the wingsuit for a while before you don't fall off and go with your parachute. They've started putting tricks and, stuff to it. What's the difference?
For me, I feel like they're actually different. Now that, you were talking about it, and I'm like, actually, I think they are different because if you are addicted to something, let's just crack, for example, fentanyl or something, there is a higher chance, like the probability is so high that you mess up your life. So the true difference is, the main difference that I see is people doing this have a life of their own. Whereas you can argue that for most people, if you go that route, if you're addicted to something, it might really impact you from having...
I actually argue. I argue otherwise. I think it's just that people that do the other one, it's much more expensive, that it does not affect the people that do it are already self-selected, that their life is it's difficult for it to be affected in the way that substance addiction would. When you look at wealthy people that are addicted to certain substance, many of them manage to do it throughout their entire life. Society might judge. Society might force them into rehab. Society might do one thing or the other. But there are so many people in Hollywood that are addicted to substances today, whether it's alcohol, they keep remaining addicted. The only reason they would consider rehab is if society rejects them. Would you say Didi is addicted to pill or not? Is it functioning or not? Because he's wealthy enough to clean out when it's right to... And that's the self-selection that's happening with the extreme sport. The extreme sport is expensive. The boat that you can paddle on the Atlantic Ocean would still cost you like $30,000 to get a used one. If broke people can do the skydiving thing and all that stuff consistently, my brother, you get the same issue. It will ruin their life. Lives that are easier to ruin will get ruined.
Yeah, so we're talking about it. I mean, I was thinking about this lady. She was a friend back in Germany. Yeah, you know her, but I don't want to mention her name. Now, just to support the point that the extreme sport thing is actually should be looked at differently and as a problem than something fun. She went on a trip 3 times to hike on Mount Everest. You know how extreme that is. That is one of the most people die on that trip.
Yeah. You literally see dead body when you're climbing up and coming down.
Exactly. And it's supposed to be like something maybe on people's bucket list, right? Once in a lifetime situation. And she actually did it 3 times. And knowing her, when I knew her, I didn't really make anything out of it. But now I'm thinking, later on I found out she was depressed. And I think probably she wanted to... She might not also even see it like that. When you mix depression with going on Mount Everest 3 times.
Yeah, she needs that waking up. It's like a shot. I'm awake.
So it's like going from one extreme of negativity to some rush on adrenaline on somewhat positive, and you don't care about whatever happens in between. It's like, maybe I die, maybe I don't have the courage to kill myself. Or...
You have to take your life super lightly to do those things. And when you actually put it like that, what is the impact on our life? Like all the moments, all the time, all the saving up and the planning to be able to do that 3 times. I mean, what is a life that is ruined and what is a life that is not ruined? It's always very relative. But when you take money that you could have
a lot
used,
of photos.
Eh?
See a lot of pictures of the trip and everything. I'm like, okay.
society will even compensate you for doing it though. So maybe there's a slight difference. If you go into a McKinsey interview and you say, I also climbed Mount Everest 3 times, they find you interesting, like, oh, that's the guy we want.
For sure, in some cultures anyway. But like, there's this popular saying.
Yeah.
People say like in the dating culture, they'll be like, yo, if she has done any sort of half marathon, any sort of climbing Mount Everest or whatever, going for that is a sign of midlife crisis or some mental thing. And it's a lot of the times true, to be honest.
At least a little bit. Yeah.
Bro. I would say a lot of the time.
Yeah, I mean, let's see what our audience are thinking. Let's see what the people at home, when they watch us, do you think truth seekers are just high functioning addicts with a GoPro? Let us know what the difference between self-destruction and passion, or is it just marketing? Let us know in the comment section. We're really looking forward to your thoughts on this. We have shared our perspective. As always, with Think Talk, it's never wrong, it's never right. We are all going to share our opinions and thoughts and see what other people are thinking. If you made it this far, you're part of the Think Talk family. I know this one was a bit heavy because I was also leaning strong on all the scenarios: loyalty, lost, and risk. We definitely put in every point that we have in mind. Let's see what you think. So like, comment, subscribe. This is Think Talk.